Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ultimate Lord of the Rings and Elden Ring crossover. Today we are going full Legolas mode and taking aim at the mobs and bosses of Elden Ring with a bow build. Unleash your inner archer with mighty shots and unmatched agility to make a Boromir out of your enemies. This is a guide for a level 150 build that you can use for your NG plus playthroughs. I am putting aesthetic and lore reasoning above anything else in this series. So if you want to change stuff to get a bit more damage or protection, feel free to do it, or ask in the comments if you need help. To make sure this build works, I tested and recorded everything in New Game Plus 1, so you can be sure this build is viable despite not min-maxing to the extreme. To make your character look like Orlando Bloom, you don't need to pause and see the slider in the video. There is a link in the description to an image of character creation sliders so you can mimic his face as closely as possible. Legolas Greenleaf is an agile elven archer that uses 2 daggers for close quarter combat. Many dismiss bow builds and meme about them, but despite all their shortcomings, they can be powerful and fun, and you will find many new openings fighting bosses because of your great range that even magic users can't match. So, to show his agility, he can max out dexterity and have enough equip load to light roll. Now we're gonna find something for him to wear. Finding a chest piece to look like what Legolas wears in the movies was kinda hard, but I found something to look like his armor in the movies, and specifically during Battle of Helm's Deep in the Two Towers. For chest, you need to alter the Confessor armor. Its design, especially its shoulder, is really close to what he wears during the battle. You can buy the set from that nomadic merchant in Mount Gelmir. For his gauntlets, Traveler's Mochets perfectly resemble his looks in the movies, and everyone probably has the set already. It's in the room before Malenia's arena. For legs, it kinda doesn't matter, but for managing the weight and wearing something that fits the rest of the set, we can go after another starter set and use Prisoner Trousers. You can buy this from a hermit merchant in Ainsel River underground. Legolas has his own bow from the Woodland realm, but he gets an upgraded one as a gift in Lothlorien. So following his footsteps, I'm going to introduce 2 bows with different playstyles, and after that, explain how to use each and how to play with bows effectively in general. We have 4 bow classes in Elden Ring: light bows, great bows, and crossbows. We have ballistas too, but well, they're not bows. Anyways, short bows damage is too low, great bows are too slow, and crossbows are not Legolas style. So we must look at bows for our main weapon. Albinauric bow has the highest physical damage for a level 150 agility build. It's the closest looking bow to what Legolas uses, and it has Mighty Shot skill by default, which is useful for dealing with mobs, preserving arrows, and doing huge damage to bosses when their openings are big enough to delete their HP before they get to you. Best way to farm this bow is farming those 3 sitting archers near Ordina Liturgical Town, Cited Grace in Concentrated Snowfield. Don't bother with the 4th one riding a wolf. Just kill those 3. Rest and repeat. Equip Beast Repellent Torch on your offhand or your back to make the farming runs easier. If you prefer more agile playstyle or you are against fast bosses with a small window of attack, your best friend is going to be Ansbach's Longbow. You will get this bow at the end of DLC, after siding with Ansbach and after defeating Golden Twink and his promised consort. Legolas uses 2 daggers for close combat, and the closest looking weapon we can use is the Earth Steel Dagger. It's ornamental like his. You can get 2 rattle easily and it has okay damage. Since it's a dex build, you need to put keen affinity on these daggers, and for Ash of War, use Quick Step on main hand. It's going to make you more agile like Legolas, and give you more attacking opportunities. I didn't use Ash of War Bloodhound's Step because it's not really easy to fight with it. It moves you too much, and with low reach of daggers, you will not be able to attack bosses effectively if you decide to get close and use daggers. You can use Bloodhound's Step for Malenia, for example, to be extra safe against waterfall downs, but you won't need it 99% of the time. For offhand, use whatever. I prefer to use Assassin's Gambit so I can run past mobs easier. When you use it, for 30 seconds you become almost invisible, and you make no sound while moving. It fits Legolas too, since elves can walk silently. Just remember to put it on Keen Affinity. Now, put bow on your right hand first slot, main hand dagger in the second slot, and offhand dagger in the left hand. To hand the bow and you are ready. If you need to switch to daggers, just switch your main hand weapon and you have double daggers. For double daggers or any power stance, you can press right mouse button or L1 on controller to attack with both hands. With this setup, you can switch back to your main hand fast to use your bow again. But you should never normally shoot an arrow in Elden Ring. It's too slow, and unless you made a mistake, you should always use your bow skill for greater damage or jump and then shoot mid-air for much faster firing. You can shoot again when you land or after rolling if you are using short bows, black bow or unmatched longbow. They have a special move that lets you fire quickly when you land or after rolling, and you should utilize jumping, skills or these moves as much as possible. You can have two playstyles with this Legolas build and switch to another one if one doesn't work. One way is that you can be a methodical archer that finds the best time to attack, deals huge damage and uses way less arrow. You can achieve this with Alvinoric bow and its default skill, Mighty Shot. When you press and hold the skill button, you enter a stance, and then if you press R1 or left mouse button for primary arrow, the one you put on the left slot, and R2 or shift plus left mouse button for secondary arrow, the one in the right slot, it's going to power up your arrow, make it fly farther, deal about 75% more damage, and increase status effect build-up by around 75% too. You can even zoom and use Mighty Shot for headshots, which also increases damage for most enemies. If mobs almost die with Mighty Shot, you usually can kill them if you use Mighty Shot while doing a headshot on them. This is going to save a lot of arrows, something that we kinda lack between rests. Some enemies like trolls take a special damage from headshots. Try it on them, it's fun. Try to always do Mighty Shot, and in the worst case, jump and shoot arrow mid-air, rather than doing a slow normal attack. Just remember, when you are holding this stance like this, your stamina regeneration will be reduced by 80%, so let go of it from time to time to get your stamina back. One more thing to add, although it looks like a stance, the game doesn't recognize it as a stance, so something like Ralana's cameo will not work sadly. The other playstyle is being super agile and doing fast damage to chip out bosses' HP. You will use a lot more arrows, but it's safer and some bosses are kinda impossible the other way around, unless you are super skilled or you can tolerate super long fights. For this, Unmatched longbow is going to help us a lot. Despite being a bow, this bow and black bow shares the same moveset with short bows. It means you can jump, shoot mid-air, land and shoot again as well. You can roll and shoot ASAP too with this bow. Its skill, Fan Shot, does nice damage and has good status effect build-up, and if enemies get hit by at least 2 of the arrows of this skill, they are going to take full damage of the skill, which is really nice. But you can't use it a lot. It's going to eat 8 arrows per use, which is too much unless you know what you are doing or you want to proc status effects like bleed fast. I prefer using Alvinoric bow for most of the boss fights. It's more Legolas-like, does more physical damage even without massive boost from our Mighty Shot, and it uses less arrows too. But mastering bows have their benefits. Try bows on bosses and choose which one fits you and the situation better. For your primary arrows, you can use a regular arrow that a lot of merchants sell cheaply. Buy the maximum amount every couple of hours so you have enough for mobs and bosses. It has the second highest physical damage, not counting great arrows, and it's easy to get. If you want the best arrows, a Stormwing Bone arrow is the choice. It has good poise damage too, and you're probably going to stance break bosses once if you use it. But you have to farm a Stormhawk feather like crazy or use a mod to buy them or something. Your secondary arrows, if target can be bled, should always be Bloodbone arrow, normal or fletched one, paired with Mighty Shot or Fan Shot, and you can proc hemorrhage on some bosses before they even reach you. If immune to bleed, you can use a Stormwing Bone arrow as secondary, or if you can proc poison, you can use a Serpent arrow, which you can purchase as many as you like from Dragon Barrow's isolated merchant. Just remember that the description of these arrows is sadly incorrect. You will proc normal poison, not deadly poison. For proccing a Scarlet Rot or a Sleep, I don't recommend using arrows. You will waste a lot of time and material for tiny amount of build-up. You should use Pot or Hefty Pot if you want to proc a Rot or a Sleep. They proc super fast after using 1 or 2 pots, and then you can use your bows to do actual damage. Sadly, elemental arrows like fire or magic are kinda not that useful. Even if bosses take 100% more damage from them, the difference between regular arrows and elemental ones are negligible. They are pretty to use though. Test them out if you like, just compare the damage if you plan to use them. You will do more physical damage with buffs. There are two must-use talismans. First one is Arrow's Sting Talisman, which you can get from the watchtower near the bridge leading to Redmane Castle. It raises attack power of arrows and bolts by 10%. Second must-have talisman is Arrow's Soaring Sting Talisman from the DLC, which you can find on top of a tower at Fogriff Fort. It increases attack power of arrows and bolts by 8% and their range by 50%. It does stack with Arrow's Sting Talisman, so you will deal 18.8% more damage with your arrows. Just know that you can't equip Arrow's Rich Talisman when you wear this. Third one is a must too if you are level 150, because we need the stamina and equip load from Erdtree's Favor +2 to be able to light roll with that armor and have more stamina to do our shots or dodge from boss attacks. Having a bit more HP is a bonus too. For the fourth talisman slot, it really depends on the situation. If you are using your mighty shot or fan shot frequently in a fight, you definitely want to use Shard of Alexander for a 15% increase in your skill's damage. If you need some protection, you can equip a defensive talisman in this slot too. Other honorable mentions can be Two-Headed Turtle Talisman for more stamina regen during boss fights. Crusade Insignia from DLC for mob clearing because you get 15% more AR for 20 seconds after defeating an enemy. Sharp Shot Talisman from the DLC if you zoom when you shoot to get 12% more damage. Old Lord's Talisman for increased buff duration. Lord of Blood's Exaltation to get 20% more damage for 20 seconds after you proc it. Or Ritual Sword Talisman, which raises attack power by 10% when HP is at maximum, but you will be losing HP with this build. And I use Mighty Shot a lot more and get more damage out of Shards of Alexander. Now, for this build, the best starting class is Prophet, and for a RL 150 build of that class, you can go like this: 50 Vigor, 19 Mind, 27 Endurance, 80 Dexterity, 25 Faith, and the rest doesn't matter. Since the Prophet has 11 strengths by default, we meet the requirements for our weapons without spending points in this stat. That Vigor might seem a bit high for a range build, but trust me, you don't wanna get one-shotted by Malenia. If you are changing the stats, just remember to do not go lower than 17 might, because our buff rotation uses 105 FP, which is exactly what 17 might is giving you. I have a bit more to be saved and save FE flasks. Our bows don't scale well with dex, let alone strengths. So instead of adding strengths and thinking you are going to do significantly more damage, first fix your other shortcomings like FP or stamina, and then spend point on strengths. The damage difference between these stats and having 80 strengths on top of 80 dex is like 50 more damage before buffs. Even with all of our buffs, you can't even reach 200 more damage. It's too small for that much point spent, and you can get benefits from other things first. That 25 Faith is for using Golden Vow, Blessings Boon, and Flame Grant Me Strengths. You don't need to meet requirement for any sacred seal. Just use something with 0 weight like Erdtree seal, so you can still light roll with these stats. Put it in your second slot in your offhand, but we usually only use it before boss fights. And after buffing ourselves, switch back to offhand Erd Steel Dagger. Elves using some art or what we untrained people call magic is compatible with Tolkien's lore too. Golden Vow gives you more damage and protection. Flame Grant Me Strength give you more physical and fire damage, and you get increased stamina regen too when it's active. There is a reason for using Blessings Boon other than getting passive heals, which you will find out why in the next section. Arrow skills don't use that much FP, so we are going to use mostly FP flasks, and you should be fine with 3 or 4 FP flasks in general. For Flask of Wondrous Physic, we are going to use Bloodfucking Crack Tier, which will give you 20% more damage for 3 minutes. You will be losing HP while it's active, and that is where Blessings Boon comes to negate some of its damage. You will need to watch for your HP and chug HP pot here and there, because you will die even without taking a hit from boss. But that 20% damage is too nice to pass on, and damage buffs in Elden Ring are multiplied and not counted additively. For example, if we utilize everything on the screen, we are going to do almost 4 times the damage compared to a normal attack. Because of HP loss, Ritual Sword Talisman will be useless during boss fights. Anyways, you can get Bloodsucking Crack Tier from Ruins of Unte in DLC after defeating that inactive Furnace Golem that requires you to lit it by throwing a hefty furnace pot on its furnace head and then defeating it for its loot. For second part of Physic, we can use Green Burst Crystal Tier for more stamina recovery speed, which is really useful for this build. It's dropped by that rotten ant in Kelly, east of a smoldering church. Radagon's Great Rune is the only useful choice for our Great Rune. Don't bother with anything else. Before ending the video, I'm going to add some more tips and tricks for this build. Always have more than 99 arrows on yourself. If you have anything past 99 arrows, they will go into your inventory. And when you rest at the site of grace, you will fill your quiver automatically. So always buy and craft extra arrows. You can buy an infinite amount of Tin Beast bones from Twin Maiden husks and then make bone arrows as much as you like. It can be handy if you want to preserve your regular arrows or you just ran out of them and don't or can't rest at the site of grace. It does a tiny bit less damage than regular arrows, but they are still fine to use. Don't bother with flesh ones that fly a longer range than normal ones. Use your farmed flight pinion on bloodbone arrows if you want to. Before starting a boss fight, your optimal buff rotation is like this: Golden Vow, Blessings Boon, Flame Grant me Strength, drink your physic, and then enter. When you are dual wielding your daggers, using L1 or RMB after quick step is a great way to attack your target. Daggers are fast and nice for proccing a status effect. But since we are using Radagon Arrow and proc bleed with them, and we don't have points to spend on Arcane, when it's time to use daggers, bleed proc amount is gotten so much high it's not worth it anymore. You will be better off with normal physical damage. Not that you are going to use your daggers a lot, to be honest. Maybe against NPC invaders or some few bosses that dodge out of your bow attacks. For Malenia, half the time you can attack her easily, but the other half she just dodges away and you will be out of arrows if you attack non-stop. Check how she reacts and try to get close to trigger a response and then roll back and attack. You usually make her dodge back, and during that you can attack her twice, once jumping and once when you land, if you use Ansbach, which you should for this fight. Radagon deflects a lot of your attacks, especially if you are going to use a skill. He will input read you and deflects most of it. Just stick to normal jumping and rolling attacks in his openings. You will need your arrows for Elden Beast. Here, having bone arrows might come in handy if the fight takes too long to finish and you don't want to use your daggers. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed watching this, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can find related links for all the items of this build in the description. I've made Aragorn and Gandalf the Great so far, and I plan to make it a full series, so follow for more. If you have any questions or suggestions, please put them below and I'll try to answer as best as I can. By the way, which Lord of the Rings character should I build next? Let me know in the comments. I'm thinking Gimli or maybe even Sauron. See ya!